Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another game of Skytear. I am your host, the Commander, reporting here for duty. Today, we are going to be featuring round number 4 of the Skytear November World Qualifier. This game will feature Ryan, also referred to as Kirito, versus Smeoz. In the final match of the Swisses, both of these players will have qualified for the top 8 cuts. However, of course, you do want to try and get more preferential seeding, as that does let you play up against the 8th seed, as opposed to perhaps a slightly stronger opponent. So before the game started, we went ahead, tossed the coin. Ryan won the coin toss and elected to take first player position. As a result, Smeoz then brought the outsider, the silent ambassador. Our objectives for this game are going to be invasion, starting from the second turn, having 2 control tokens adjacent to the enemy towers or the nexus by the end of the round. Onslaught, kill 3 people. And Skytear Master, win the lead of a control token inside a dome 3 times. So, as you can see here, Ryan piloting his fairly infamous Suicide Squad deck, which is primarily all blue, except it does bring Ekrit in cases of control match, starting with Freyhill, and then after Smeoz, who is piloting the mono-yellow deck, brings on Akuti, Kenwi, and Ekrit, and oh my god, Smeoz, I already told you not to do this. I can see he doesn't listen to me like everybody else. Such is life. So, as of right now, the 3 ladies of the Nupton faction have been brought on. Also, the yellow-blue heroes of the Nupton faction brought in for Smeoz. So we do need to see who his final choice will be. Now, at this time, Ryan has not drafted anyone with a lot of armor. And so Shafathi or Cytherea's value may not be as high, but nevertheless, we are going to bring Cytherea in there, potentially try to spike down 2 of Ryan's core heroes, either Freyhill or Shillavi, as both of those are 2 of the biggest cogs in the machine that does make the Suicide Squad deck work. So, taking a look at Smeoz's cards there, well, before we do that, we'll announce that Gobjorn will be Ryan's final hero. So as the players go ahead and shuffle and do their mulligans, we'll go ahead and review what kind of cards are brought to the deck as a result of these selections. So Smeoz is bringing, from bringing those heroes in no particular order here. We do have Exhaustion, Time Warp, Redirect, Soul Screams, Charms, Presence, Redirect, Twister of Souls, Nourishes, Migraines, Chasms, Shatterminds, Burning Rages, Nightmare Incarnates, Soul Scream, and Twister of Souls again. That will be the cards we will see from him. And from Ryan, we will see cards again in no particular order. Skytear Discharge, Nourish, Sacrifice, Strength Over Pains, Nourish, Chasm, Sinkhole, Ice Walls. Skytear Discharge again, Through the Eyes, Rampant Hatred, Bewitch, Call of the Pack, and a Nature's Reclaims. I am going to try and refrain from identifying which heroes were carrying which cards, only because these players are still going to make to the top 8, and we want to respect the minimal amount of deck privacy that can still be remained after having your game streamed on podcast. So we're going to go ahead and go through the mulligan there. Smeoz did discard 2. I missed what those were, so we're going to go ahead and take a look. He did throw a Migraine and a Twister of Souls. So this leads me to believe that he probably has a couple other 3-mana cards if he wants to use some of those as a lead. And in the meantime, Ryan actually discarded 3 cards here. Let's see, Through the Eyes and 2 Rampant Hatreds. 2 Rampant Hatreds. Interestingly, considering he's got the Flux there, you'd think one of those would be used in his turn too. But nevertheless, that seems to not be the case, so we're going to go ahead and start off with Freyhill. She's going to move into the dome, I assume worship Astrida, and lead from the deck as well. So there's the lead. Oh, I'm sorry, not lead from the deck, lead from the hand. And well, you're missing one there, Ryan. Move, lead, worship. There you go. Okay, the last action is the worship. And again, I assume that will be... Oh, it's actually on Freyhill herself. Interesting. Okay, that does make sense as to the order of actions there. I thought he might use the lead action on... Or, excuse me, the worship action on Freyhill so that she... Excuse me, Astrida. Goodness, if I could get my words straight, that would be wonderful. So that she could go into the lane and start getting that pushing. Meanwhile, Smeoz is going to start with Akuti there. Akuti will go ahead, move, worship, and attack. Akuti's ability allows her then to flip against a minion that is adjacent to her illusion after declaring and resolving the attack action. So we see that one minion there dies to the attack. This second minion then dies to the retribution, and thus gives Smeoz a 3-0 push in lane number 2. So the second activation here for Ryan, I assume we'll probably see Gulbjorn. Gulbjorn may worship on Astrida and then go and help contest, but instead we're going to go ahead and use Shillavi because Ryan likes to prove me as a liar. So Shillavi is going to go into the dome. Interesting choice there, particularly considering that Ekrit has yet to move, and Ekrit would be most likely to move into the dome and then laser line Ryan's right side. Shillavi would be able to move in with a skirmish and a move and an attack in order to punish him. And Shillavi is now leading from the deck. So that is an interesting strategy, given that Freyhill had already worshipped from the hand. I have to assume perhaps that must be a bluff now from Ryan with Freyhill. Otherwise, it seems kind of pointless. Sudden Distraction is not a card yet in the game that is legal, and you can't play it on turn 1 anyways, so I'm not certain why the lead action from Shillavi. Nevertheless, we see my most hated hero, Kenwi, now taking an activation. She is obnoxious because it becomes difficult to target her whenever her illusion is adjacent to her, like Smeoz is doing right now, and whenever you hit projected heroes, they're able to move away. Excuse me, whenever projected heroes lose HP, they're able to move away. There is a distinction between the two, so we should not mince words there. And then we're going to go for a lead from Kenwi. So is he perhaps concerned about a time warp? All right, so Astrida moving in. This makes some sense on why we didn't worship Astrida, because we're going to burn Astrida's attack to destroy the Kenwi illusion. That's going to make it so Kenwi can be targetable by attacks, as well as making it so that other heroes can't move around whenever they start losing HP. I assume that we might be looking for a dome pile here from Ryan, such that next turn Gulbjorn plays a flex-popped Rampant Hatred. We did see him discard 2. Perhaps Ryan drew all 3 on his opening play. And then if Gulbjorn is shapeshifted, Shapeshift plus Rampant Hatred is going to result in substantial skirmish damage bonuses, which would be enough to kill pretty much anybody that would come after him. So that might be the logic line here. I'm not sure if that's his plan. I've already made one call that was wrong today with Ryan, so I'm just not going to hypothesize too much about what he wants to do. We'll wait and see until we have some more information. He does have a fight. Now, the other thing too, yeah, this position right here lines him up for this action. So Ekrit could blast the 2 minions, or she could just blast 2 heroes out of the dome. With this attack here, we summon the illusion. Ekrit is now able to use the Wind Barrier ability, which attacks 4 hexes in front of her, as long as one of those hexes hits her illusion. And then, any hero that is hit gets pushed 1. So as you can see, Astrida gets knocked into lane 1. She'll still be able to influence the control zone there, but Freyhill does have the worship action, or excuse me, the complete waste of her lead action there, which also may explain then why Shillavi went and led from the deck, because Ryan realized too late that parking Freyhill on the perimeter like that made her an easy target for Ekrit. And now the Bear Man is going to come into the field, so Gulbjorn will activate at this point, and we're going to pop the Flex, so I assume we're going to see Presence here. Yep, there's the Presence from Gulbjorn. So Presence gives you +1 control value to the hero, and it allows you to predict 2 as well. So this will kind of help augment the control value, and then we have a lead from the deck. So Ryan, not confident in Shillavi's blind lead, but we do have Gulbjorn's predicted lead from the deck. So in this situation, I think we can rely on that to most likely be a 2. And we see Gulbjorn finishing off with the worship action. So we won't see a Rampant Hatred next round. But that being said, Gulbjorn does gain bonus skirmish damage for every hero that is shapeshifted within him, within 3 hexes of him. And so right now, with the entire squad shapeshifted, that is a +4 to Gulbjorn. And that can augment very well with Gulbjorn's skirmish attack, which does hit 3 panels in front of him. So right as of right now, good lineup for both Ekrit and Kenwi to get slashed for a fair amount of damage. We'll have to see how that plays out in turn number 2. As it stands right now, though, Smeoz still needs to activate Cytheru, and with the presence augmented play, it should be the case that Ryan is able to claim the dome, and so we do see Cytheru moving out into the lane there. I assume we'll see him attack a minion, deleting that minion to give him a small advantage in lane number 1, and then potentially summoning his illusion, get Cytheru's illusion in place to make Cytheru's casting more powerful, as well as set up for other plays in future turns. We're going to actually go ahead for a skirmish action here. So moving Cytheru all the way over there doesn't want to make Cytheru a target for any of Ryan's heroes unless they come after him with a move action, if it's a straight up. Looks like, and we're going to lead from the hand. So that's going to result in Smeoz winning both lanes. So Smeoz looks like he's setting up for invasion pretty well here. Both of Ryan's minions will be deleted. The control token will advance, pressing against his tower there. And then 2 new minions spawn for each of the players. In lane number 2, obviously that's a 3-0 victory. So again, the tokens will be pressed against the towers. And Ryan is very thankful that invasion can only trigger at the start, or excuse me, at the end of round number 2, because otherwise this match would be over right now. So Ryan, while winning the dome, is going to need to prepare for the fact that he needs to get one of those control tokens off of his nexus. Excuse me, off of his towers, not his nexus. So Gilbjorn did lead from a 3, Shillavi did lead with a 3, and we did see Freyhild did lead with a 3 is there as well. So we see a Sinkhole as the 1 lead, and then the +1 card, which I think might be the 3rd Rampant Hatred. Nope, that's a Sacrifice, okay? And then the Chasm was Gilbjorn's predicted lead. And then Smeoz also led with a 3 as well from Kenwi, but it does not matter here. So the Silent Ambassador comes onto the field. Let's see how she operates. Silent Ambassador must be placed somewhere adjacent to the dome's perimeter and focuses on movement and AoE control. So Wormhole allows us to swap a target hero's position with any other hero's position within 4 hexes of the Silent Ambassador. Farsight is a straightforward predict 2 cards. And the Stone Storm. Place an AoE within 2 hexes and then deal 1 plus the flip and apply slow to every enemy hit. In addition, she does have ranged attack as well. So let's see what happens here. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to swap the Silent Ambassador with Kenwi. You can do that. You can, or excuse me, with Ekrit. Sorry, their models look very similar. You can use the Silent Ambassador herself as the target action there. Now we're, and a +3 on the flip. So that's going to be 4 damage to both Ekrit and Kenwi, obviously reduced by 1 for their armors. So 3 damage total to each of them, and that brings them down to 15 and 13 HP for Kenwi and Ekrit respectively, as well as slowing each of them. We're also just going to go ahead and throw the Silent Ambassador's HP on the tracker. There is no hunting for power, but just in case that becomes relevant to some more AoE shenanigans. Looks like I hear shuffling, and I see the eye, which means Ryan did use the Farsight ability as his 3rd action there. So taking a look, seeing if any of these cards are of use to him, because we are entering the draw phase. So he has the option to see, do I want to draw these cards, or do I want to throw them away? And it looks like we have cleaned up the round there. So overall board state here, Smeoz clearly has the control in his advantage. However, Ryan is setting up for potential destruction here. Onslaught victory looks most likely how Ryan would win this particular setup right now. As we can see, Kenwi and Ekrit are positioned perfectly for Gilbjorn to basically just do a 180 and slash across both of them and deal 4 damage plus whatever he flips on a skirmish attack. Now, unfortunately, he did pop the Flux, which means we won't see a further boosted Rampant Hatred skirmish attack, which would have been hilarious and extremely dangerous unless you're Smeoz, in which case that would be a Feels Bad Man. Okay, so here we go. Gilbjorn is activating with the skirmish. Clearly, we're targeting the 3 panels that are being highlighted, as you can see. So this is going to be 4 damage plus the flip. Oh, but a -1 on the flip. So that's going to be 3 damage total, -1 armor for each of them. So therefore, Kenwi to 13, Ekrit to 11. The next action, I assume we're probably going to attack one of the 2 of them, probably Ekrit, as she is 2 hit points lower than Kenwi. Going to also move to the edge here. Interesting. Nope, maybe not. Realizing that that sets you up for a wind barrier combo there to get blasted out of the dome. Ryan doesn't want to do that. Okay, we are going to go ahead and attack Ekrit there. This is going to be an attack that will go through here for 3 plus the flip, although it looks like Smeoz may have a response of some sort. Trying to take a look here, we may have a redirect play. He might force the attack to go against Kenwi, or he might use a time warp and just get out of the way. It's also possible that he may just use a Nourish and heal her off, heal Ekrit up, and essentially negate whatever incoming damage is about to occur. 3 plus a flip. Nope, guess not. So there we go. Ekrit drops down 2 more. Ekrit to 9 HP now for Smeoz. So looking a little injured, but overall not totally destroyed just yet. She will need to be a little careful here, as Freyhill still has yet to activate. Freyhill is shapeshifted, which means Ryan could heal Ekrit to death or deal piercing damage from skirmishes and attacks. So Smeoz does need to be cognizant of that, and may opt to activate Ekrit first just to get her out of the way of a possible a possible Freyhill assassination attempt. Final action for Ryan will be a lead from the hand, and again, because of his position in the dome, no chance that Gobjorn gets pushed out as of right now. Now the question here is, what does Smeoz do in a response? Well, let's see. If Whisper of Nupton was allowed, which allows any friendly Nupton to take a worship action, I would say you move Skirmished to the outside of lane 1, summoned your illusion in the cover hex, and blasted the minions, but again, that is not a valid play right now. And so therefore, that would require action economy that Smeoz simply doesn't have. What you could potentially do is... well, that doesn't help with piercing. I was going to say you could get a Cooties illusion within range 3 of Ekrit, but that doesn't make much sense. Alright, so we are going to activate Ekrit and Skirmish here. So the Skirmish action, she will resolve first. Looks like we're not going to flip against Astrida. Oh, or are we going to position in such a way that we... okay, we're going to flip against Shillavi first. This makes more sense. Alright, so flip against Shillavi. 1 damage there on the flip. Shillavi has no armor, so that goes through. And now we're going to step away. Are you going to worship and then move Astrida into the dome? Nope, we're just going to go ahead and attack a minion. Alright, dead minion. Twister of Souls shows a +0, but it's a dead minion regardless, so... Smeoz fairly confident that he has control of lane 1, and frankly, I agree with him. All Akuti needs to do is move her illusion down, move herself down, attack a minion, and flip against the other minion. Easy peasy. Ryan can't do much to stop that, so Smeoz needs to control lane number 1. And we see a final lead from the deck. So Scyther is still sitting in the back, waiting to see what Ryan does. May come in a little bit later and start dealing damage on anyone that tries to go after Ekrit. We'll see how this works out. Of course, as we know, dead heroes cannot lead, and Ekrit is in a prime position to get blown up by Freyhill right now, and Freyhill is going to be activating, so I assume Ryan is probably going to go for the kill here. We are moving Freyhill over. 0 on the flip, though, unfortunately. Does have piercing, but doesn't matter. Whenever you do 0 damage, you're not doing any damage regardless of their armor. So that being said, if Ryan has a sacrifice in hand or a nourish, we can very easily just simply heal Ekrit. All right, we're going for the attack. This will be, oh, we're going on the attack for the minion, yes. So Ryan does need to thin out these minions, otherwise, because in this case, tying the control zone is not enough. He must win this and push the control zone off of his tower. If he ties, that doesn't advance it any further, but it's already as far advanced as it needs to be, so Smeoz is perfectly happy with tying. All right, dead minion there, 1 damage to the minion. That's all you need to do to kill it. And I assume we're now going to see some sort of a lead action. Excuse me. Oh. And we see a worship action, it looks like, as Freyhill restores her HP there for the final move this round. Now, Astrida, of course, can kill a minion, spawn a minion, but Ekrit is within range to potentially do a charm play, and so therefore might end up blocking that. But it looks like, okay, we're just going to go after Astrida now. So Kenwi is going to skirmish. Oh, and a +3 on the flip. So that's going to deal 2 damage to Astrida. However, Astrida is within range of Shillavi and is shapeshifted. So now Ryan needs to decide, are we going to revenge against Ekrit? And it looks like the answer is yes. So targeting Ekrit, this is going to do 1 plus the flip, so 2 damage to Ekrit. Minus her armor, 1 damage, Ekrit to 8 HP. And now Smeoz is going to worship, and of course we're going to bring Kenwi's illusion down. Kenwi's illusion, again, will prevent Kenwi herself from being targeted with an attack action, but it will also allow Ekrit to dance away. Oh, and Kenwi is now going to respond with the presence. So again, presence will augment Kenwi's control value by 1, and allow Smeoz to take a look at his deck and decide if he's got a better card there. He might just double down and a lead from the deck as well, it looks like. So, can we solve the problem? Is Ryan's conundrum at the moment. And unfortunately, having popped that flex means that Chasm and Sinkhole are both unavailable at this point. He does have his own presence that he might be able to use on Astrida to counter. We'll see what happens. So the first thing there, Astrida is going to go ahead and attack. But Smeoz has a response, it looks like, with the thinking. I expect to see a charm come down from Ekrit at this point and remove the shapeshifted ability from Astrida. This will prevent her from being able to spawn a minion after that minion dies. As all Smeoz really needs to do here is funnel all of his heroes into this one particular control point. Still thinking about it. So he might be doing some math in order to figure out if he needs to play Charm or not here. Nope. Not going to do anything as a response. Astrida will sacrifice 2 HP and now spawn a very, very much needed minion. The next action we're going to do is, I assume, a skirmish since you're targeting Kenwi there. So that's going to be 2 damage to Kenwi. How is that 2 damage? Astrida doesn't do piercing. That should be 1 damage. I think. If it was an attack action, you couldn't do that. You're adjacent to Kenwi's illusion. Oh, that was the revenge trigger, of course. Whoops. Astrida lost HP, and then she got to activate the revenge trigger. That makes perfect sense. Whoops. All right, so we're then going to go ahead and skirmish, hitting Kenwi for a -1 there. No damage to Kenwi. And we do see Astrida playing the presence of her own. So looking to potentially go for another lead from the deck here as Ryan continues to bolster his his defense against Smeoz's offense. And a lead from the deck means that most likely he's found at least something that he's looking for. So with that being said now, Satheru still has to activate. Now Satheru is not able to block off Gilbjorn and Shillavi from coming into this lane to influence the control zone, but it could be a situation here where we go ahead and delete a minion and then perhaps use some sort of a power card against Estrida. Let's see what the play is here. So both Gobjorn and Shilovy, I'm sorry, no, Gobjorn has activated. Shilovy still needs to activate here. All right, we're going to go ahead and attack a minion there. Delete the minion. Does Smeoz have a migraine? I'm sorry, not a migraine, a Nightmares Incarnate. If he has a Nightmares Incarnate, he can spike down that last minion at the end of the activation. We also see the illusion token coming down. So Cythera's illusion allows you to play play power cards as though you were in that illusion, and in addition gives +1 damage to all of Cythera's power cards. So we'll see what Shilovy has to do. I think Shilovy at this point has to do something with lane number 2. Otherwise, well, it's hard to say, because if she doesn't do anything with lane number 2, Akuti just runs that lane over. In fact, Akuti doesn't even need to do anything. If Shilovy doesn't do anything in lane number 2, then Akuti can just move and skirmish into the dome area here, potentially with a time warp, make her way into the lane, and influence control zone 1, and lane number 2 pushes naturally. So I believe that Shilovy has to do something in lane number 2 in order to prevent Akuti from being able to move her way into lane number 1. That being said, doing some counting right now, if Shilovy doesn't go into lane number 1, then yeah, then Akuti would respond that way, so yeah, I think this comes down to if Smeoz has a Nightmares Incarnate. If Smeoz has a Nightmares Incarnate, I don't think there's anything that Ryan can do here. Unless Smeoz is unable to lead and Shilovy kills 2 minions. If Akuti is, well, let's see, that would give you 3. So Akuti would need a lead of 1 to tie if Shilovy leads with a 3 after killing 2 minions. So, let's see, does Ryan have Bewitch in this? I forget. I know I ran down this earlier. There are, oh no, there's not Bewitches in this deck. Okay, so that is a little bit unfortunate. There's no Call the Pax. Okay, so yeah, this is a bit of a sticky situation here for Ryan. All right, well, let's see what he does. So Shilovy is going to go ahead and move. This is the obvious choice here. Gobjorn does have a lead in the dome. So Shilovy is going to respond by going into lane number 1, it looks like. So move and skirmish into the lane. And Shilovy's going to play a Skytear Discharge. So Skytear Discharge makes the hero take 2 damage plus a flip whenever they cross through a white line. So it looks like Shilovy is going to damage herself and then damage Kenwi as a result. So this first flip here should be the resolution of the skirmish. So that's going to be a +2 on the flip, less Kenwi's armor. That is going to deal 1 damage to her, so that brings her down to 10. And now the first we have to do the discharge damage. Is Smeoz going to move Kenwi? I don't think you want to move her, Smeoz, because you kind of have everything where you want, unless you want to move her down. If you move her down on top of Cythera's illusion, that would break the revenge proc and make Ryan have to target either Ekarit or Cythera. But given that Kenwi is at 10 HP, I don't see her dying very much. So, but Smeoz opts to move her anyways. Okay, so now discharge goes off. So a +2 on discharge means that Shilovy does go from 17 down to 13 for damage. Now the revenge will proc, and let's see who does Ryan target. Okay, we're going to still continue working down the Kenwi. So, and a +3 on the revenge. So that is going to deal 3 damage to Kenwi. That brings her to 7 HP. So she's getting low, but not low enough. Now the outsider does have the capacity to kill her with enough flip damage. It would require I believe, let's see, a +3 on the attack would give you 5 damage against her, and then you'd need a +2 on the Stone Storm. So it is a bit of an outside mark, but, oh, okay, this is also the option too. You can use Freyhill's Sacrifice. I completely forgot about this. That changes things. Freyhill's Sacrifice. So Sacrifice allows you to give up 2 HP in order to heal another person 4 HP. However, Cytheru is going to play Redirect. And so, Freyhill is now going to be forced to cast that on Cytheru. Now, of course, we know that Freyhill does have the ability when shapeshifted to damage people instead of heal them. And so Cytheru, nice and healthy, says, no problem, I'll take your 4 damage. And, of course, Freyhill will lose 2 HP, which will allow her to revenge on Ekrit. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Oh, no, Smeoz actually redirected it onto Shillavi because he knows he's not going for the kill there. So put that heal onto Shillavi. 3 damage on the flip there brings Ekrit down to 4 HP. So Ekrit is getting a little bit low here. And Freyhill's going for another sacrifice, targeting Kenwi, it looks like. All right, Ryan really wants to kill Kenwi. Now, interestingly enough, he did not target Ekrit, who is within kill range. That is a little bit interesting, to say the least. I guess it's mostly because Kenwi has the lead card, while Ekrit's, I believe, was blind from the deck, whereas Kenwi's was predicted. And so therefore, theoretically, Kenwi's card is equal to or higher valued than whatever Ekrit has. Let's see, does Smeoz have another response? So the only people with mana at this point are Ekrit and Akuti. And Ekrit is going to go ahead and play Nourish. All right, so we aren't going to see the Nightmare Incarnate snipe kill on the minion, but we are going to see this Nourish effect go off. Nourish restores 3 HP to the hero, so Kenwi goes up to 10. Now Freyhill goes ahead and damages her with the heal action, bringing Kenwi down to 6. We see a +1 on the flip for Revenge, which brings Ekrit down to 2 HP, as Freyhill's damage is still piercing. And Ekrit is going to move down over on top of the control point. So now, I think that's all that remains. Although, oh no, Shillavi does have 1 action left. She could opt to worship or potentially attack Kenwi. That might be what Ryan was trying to set up for, is to kill there. Kenwi, excuse me, not Kenwi. Shillavi does have 2 mana left. Freyhill is out of mana, so we aren't going to see any more Nourish damage or Sacrifice damage coming out from her this round. Trying to think of what else Smeoz might have happening here. Well, let's take a peek at the decks. See if we have any other insights. So we know that Smeoz clearly doesn't have a charm. Otherwise, he would have removed the charm from Freyhill, which would have prevented a whole lot of damage and inconvenience to his team. Don't see anything there that's useful. For Ryan, he does have some Nourishes of his own. He does have a Through the Eyes. Again, Smeoz isn't going for damage, though. Smeoz finds his route to victory through invasion on this game. So I'm not sure what Shillavi would use the mana for here. Maybe a Gathering Storm play if Ryan wants to replenish his hand. He is out of cards at this point. So we are going to go for an attack action. This is going to be 4 plus the double flip. He is targeting the illusion underneath Shillavi's feet there. That is Kenwi's illusion. Still the most obnoxious illusion in the entire game. Although I think Shadris will create some contention for that whenever he's allowed on the field, as he's able to absorb damage. And then, yep, it looks like we just concede right there without Akuti activating. Both players are calling it. The invasion will occur as Akuti is going to play Presence. and that's pretty much going to wrap up the game. So we'll go ahead and wait to see if Smeoz wants to do anything weird. Doesn't look like it. So let's go ahead and talk with the players real fast.
Keep on top. I lead command. I move. And worship.
Yeah. And then I'm assuming that's a 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So that's game.
So
All right. Good game, gentlemen. By invasion.
Thanks, Kenui.
That is arguably the worst part of this situation, is that she was actually necessary for that. I had to get more to drink.
I had done that. If I had killed Egret, it wouldn't have been enough, so I needed to kill Kenui.
Can we kill her? No, we can't.
No.
That redirect.
I was redirect for save Kenui this game. I have played the Skytear illusion here for has to be safe to cast redirect from anywhere, but probably Kirito had to forget the dome and go in the lane.
I thought about doing it, but I figured I'll probably be fine. I want to leave one hero in there because Skytear Master, so I'm like, I'll do that. I almost moved in there and then I changed my mind. If I had moved Golbjorn in there, I could have killed Egret and survived.
Yeah. In the first turn, you have presence with Flux, right? So the dome is yours at 99%. Yeah.
Yeah. So
probably
that's it. No, if I messed up by putting Farrell in the end. If I had put her in, I wouldn't have needed to use the presence. And
never mind. No, never mind. If you have presence with Flux for the first turn for win the dome mathematically, okay, you have to only stay in lane with one hero with lead. For example, Acuity has to worship to the attack 2 minions, right? So if you go on the lane with a random hero and you lead from land, you don't lose the lane, and you have the time for Wind of Skytear Master and killing my heroes.
Yeah. Right. So I wanted to Rampant Hatred kill 2 heroes on turn 2, but I had to use the Flux for the presence because I positioned Frail on the edge, and that messed me up.
Yeah. Good game.
Yeah, good game, and good luck in the top cuts.
Yeah, you too.
Any questions from the peanut gallery?
Nope, that was pretty straightforward. This is a very straightforward game. It was entertaining to watch, minus Kenui, of course. But again, well done for both of you guys. We'll see you guys in the top 8. Hopefully we will be able to bring some of that content to everyone, and thank you for those of us who are watching.
Yeah, thank you.
On behalf of Smeoz, Ryan, and myself, thank you very much for joining us. Have a good afternoon, and we'll see you in the next game.
See you. Bye.
Bye.